Okay, so we're recording, and I guess we're ready to go. We have tonight 4 applications, and of those 4 applications, there are three signs. So I asked Patty to make sure everybody had the historic sign guidelines. For those who aren't familiar with the historic district, Yardley was, founded in 1682, or the township was, and it started out as a ferry town, Yardley Ferry and grist mill. And so we have a number of 1,700 houses, including Eli's. And then the canal went through in 1832. And with that, we had another rash of new construction, bringing in the beginning of the Victorian era, very simple, so almost colonial style architecture. In 1876, at the Centennial, Reading Railroad came through town to get passengers to go to Philadelphia from New York. And so we had another rash of architecture of the more Victorian, fancier, decorative Victorian style. And that was, you'll see some of the houses have original, very simple design with added Victorian ornamentation. I bring that up because what I'm looking for is to remind us that our job is to really try and preserve the historic character of Yardley.
Yes.
And that's where we are today. So the first applicant is 35 South Main Street, La La Lobster. And why don't we present your application, Fred? Tell us what you're doing.
Hi, how's everybody doing?
Hello.
I'm here, my name's Frederick Urbina, and I'm here with my wife, Nicole. You're there, right, Nicole?
Hello, everybody. Good to meet you.
Yeah, we're actually in separate locations. I'm down in Cape May working on our other La, and Nicole is back in Yardley, so that's why we're on 2 separate feeds. Nicole, did you want to start?
So I just want to say hi to everybody. Hello. It's kind of exciting for us to be part of, Yardley Borough. And thank you for hearing us. We are we are here just to, I guess this is the first time I've ever been in a HARB meeting, so I'm a little nervous, but
Don't be. You're fine.
all right. Yeah, we love Yardley. We love everybody in Yardley. So I don't know why I'm so nervous, but it's just, I've never done this before. But we are here just to ask, I guess, just talk to you guys about some of the things that we want to do.
So the application that we submitted has multiple items on it. So recently, we're under contract to purchase the property. So you probably have noticed that Red House has closed, and Lala has taken over the back building. The part of the application, the reason it was originally 1 item, but then we added another on because of that change. So the front sign that is on Main Street used to say Red House, but since they're no longer there, part of this application is to leave that pylon sign the same. The Red House dimensions of their sign, we're just transferring and using our logo to there. So there's no change with the physical sign in terms of the structure of it. The only change is going to be the name. So it's going to go from Red House to Lala Lobster, and I submitted our logo. The second part of the application is the phone booth that's there. There's a temporary phone booth. It's a nostalgic piece that a lot of people on a daily basis enjoy and take pictures at. It's a temporary structure, so it's not bolted down. It is movable. The third part of the application is that because of COVID, we started when we first opened, because it's such a tight space in the front, the traffic pattern of our customers would be that they would come in the front door, place their order, and then because of the size, they would just step outside. So we started using that side window, which everybody loves because now, it's almost like a service window. They feel much more comfortable outside in terms of space and waiting, and this way they don't have to come in and out. So that worked really well. Then we noticed that there were, in inclement weather, multiple people waiting out there. So we thought it would be a good idea to put an awning across that side of the building there, and pretty much an identical building. And I submitted the dimensions on the application to the awning that is on Yardley Pizza and the Yardley General Store. Aluminum structured frame with a canvas outside awning. So that they are the three things that are on the application.
Okay. I'm sorry, can you go, I was taking notes. What did you say about the phone booth?
So the phone booth is it's a classic nostalgic phone booth that's there. There is no phone in it. We could put a phone in it. It could be a working phone booth. We put it there strictly as a nostalgic piece. And a lot of people, as I mentioned, and I'm sure everybody here in this meeting knows that a large portion of children in the population has never even seen a phone booth. So they're always very excited and taking pictures. Not only are they taking pictures, but they post it on social media. And it's become quite a draw. It draws people to the borough, which I know is important to the borough. But it is movable. So it's not something that we bolted down. It's very heavy, and it's secure. But and I think the day of my application, Jerry, there was even a person, I think it was St. Patrick's Day, that I needed a picture for the application. So I went online to find one, and sure enough, somebody posted that day in front of the phone booth. It's an exciting, nostalgic piece.
Okay. So why don't we tackle, let's start with the awning, okay? And are there, let me see.
Hey, Jerry, if you want to go onto security and click enable screen share, I can manage these pictures for the folks on the call that might not necessarily have the email open.
That's great. Very helpful. That's terrific. Yeah.
So let me know when you've enabled screen share. It's under security on the bottom.
Okay. So I think everybody's there. So
Okay.
I just enabled all, right? Okay.
Yeah. And then nobody's going to do it with me, but just let me know when you can see this. You see the logo?
Yes.
Yep.
Good. And I think this is what he's talking about as far as the two awnings across the street. Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oh, that's what's happening.
Jerry, I would like some clarity on the placement of those awnings.
Yes.
It wasn't super clear on the application, to me at least, where they're going onto the building. Maybe the applicant can explain where exactly these awnings are going to be appearing on the building and the dimensions of them.
All I see is yours. I don't see.
I think we have a diagram someplace. I'm looking for it. Maybe that'll help.
I'm trying to get,
There you go. Does that help?
No.
trying to get one of mine.
Go to the side picture.
I can't go when someone else is on. Okay. All right. I took the, a side photograph and superimposed the awning as proposed.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't see that.
So if you can,
Yeah, the dimensions are on the application as well.
right.
Well,
Want
so
me to stop the share?
you're talking about it going on the side of the building.
So,
Yeah, so
yeah.
if you want me to just answer the question real quickly, it's,
Yes.
if you are on Main Street looking at the building, looking at the front of the building, to the right of the building is the driveway.
Right.
And that is where we service the customers. They come to that side of the building. So we would propose that instead of putting it on the front, because we really don't need an awning in the front, we would put it on the left side, running down the left side of the building. Well, it's, if you're looking at it the right side, I'm sorry, if you're from the front, looking at it the right side of the building.
And is it going to go from the front to the back of, on that side? Is it going to be the entire side?
Yeah, there's 3 windows there.
Mhm.
I could do 3 separate awnings or 1 long awning. Now, I would prefer to do 1 long awning because really the reason we're putting the awning there is to service the customers. So when, you know, when our residents are there, customers are there and they're waiting, and if there's a drizzle or whatever, they can just kind of lean against the building, and this way, you know, they won't get wet. If I have 3 separate ones, you know, it kind of defeats the purpose, but does that make sense?
So how far will it project out from the building?
I believe the dimensions are 20, is it 2 feet, 24 inches on the application?
It says 23 by 26 inches by 26, 23 feet by 26 by 26.
Okay, so 26 inches out.
And what does that do to your driveway and using that driveway to go, vehicles going back and forth?
That it doesn't affect it at all, but there's a gas line there. Actually, the phone booth is further out than that, and there's pylons there that protect that gas meter there. That's all roughly around 30 inches or so. So it really doesn't even encroach into any drivable space.
Joe, can I get into screen share?
Sure. Let me bail out of mine. You got it.
Thanks. Hopefully this works. Come on. Oh, well, it's sideways, but that's the length of it.
We don't see it, Jerry.
I'm afraid I don't know how screen share works then.
Hit screen share and click on it. It'll give you some options of what you can share. If you click on your desktop, it's one of the options.
Okay,
Then once
one
you have desktop
participant.
up, center bottom says screen share. If you click on
Yeah, I
that,
got that.
yeah, you have to click on one of the options it gives you. I don't know how many options your computer's giving you.
Oh, I'm getting, oh wait.
If it's on your desktop, just click on your desktop
Uh,
as one of the options.
Here, do you see that now?
That's it. It's coming. There you go.
Okay.
So that gives you the size of it. So I think it's messing up the, you know, it's getting so close to the roof line of the back part of the building. I think it sort of overpowers the look of the side of the building, which is what we're trying to preserve. So
I think that looks a little long. I don't know that it goes past those end windows that far.
that's what your plan shows. On your plan where you had it sketched out, you showed it going almost to the end. But I mean, we could say, hey, it only goes to like 8 inches beyond the window. You know,
Yeah,
We could
it
say
goes-
that.
yeah, it just goes beyond the two end windows. I don't think it doesn't go to the end of the building like that.
Fred,
So,
Fred, aesthetically, it might be nice to maintain it aligned with the upper A-frame of the roof. What's the board think about that?
rather than going to the third window,
Correct.
Right.
that would work better, because
You're
otherwise
saying
it's overpowering.
The first two windows?
Right, well, but no, take it at the full length of the roofing that we see there before the roof starts to slant down. That might be more proportionally attractive.
I think you want to have it a little in from the corner of the building.
I see. I understand. Yeah,
So if it was like a foot off of the end of the window,
Wait a minute, Jerry. Are you talking about the last window or are you talking about the middle window?
the
Jerry?
first two windows. Tim was suggesting the first two windows, not the
Right,
last
that it
window.
goes under that roof line. And I agree with him, under that roof line. would be
Right.
better.
I'm saying under the roof line. It just looks like logically that's the way it should be. You know,
Right.
I'm getting a stiff neck on this one though.
Yeah, let me
Take a look
see.
at it.
yeah. Yeah,
I
honestly,
think that would look nice. I agree. I think that would look.
Yeah, could you do that, Fred? Is that possible?
yeah, I'm fine with that. Again, you know the
purpose
purpose
of
of
it.
this. I don't, we don't need to put an awning there. I'm just kind of, and so if it makes more sense aesthetically, and I agree with your recommendation, yeah, I'm fine with that.
You
Well, how-
don't need coverage over that third window because that's not
Right.
customer
The
use.
first
Correct.
window isn't customer either.
When we first opened, excuse me, I want to say when we first opened, we would put tents out for customers because it was COVID. It was really kind of just, happening. And that's what we would do. We'd actually put a tent up for customers to be able to come get their food. So it really is just about the customers.
So how about closer to the first window from Main Street? How about maybe a foot or 2 foot off of the window? So it's not pressing up against the corner.
Yeah,
Agreed.
maybe midway between the window and the corner.
Yeah.
So that it gets centered underneath that roof line, indented in.
Right, I want it indented in, so we don't ruin the corner of the, you don't want to mess up the corner of the building. I guess there's some way to rotate this. Does anybody know how to rotate it?
Well, you have to
Rotation
edit the photo.
Huh?
You have to edit the photo to turn it.
What did I do now? Did I just mess it up?
Yeah, you did. You lost it.
Anyway,
Hey,
So-
Dan, how do you see the proportion on this as the
I
architect?
agree with you, Tim. I think it should stop when the shed roof starts.
Yeah,
It looks to me like that was an addition at some point.
Right.
The
it
front
does,
part
yeah.
was one
And I think if it goes
structure.
from the front corner to where the shed roof
Yeah,
starts, that's a charming element on the building. I think it's an excellent idea.
well, I don't think it should go right to the front corner, Tim.
Where would you stop it, Jerry?
Maybe halfway between the window and the corner. But you don't want to have the canopy the awning so close to the corner that messes up the corner of the building. We're
Yeah,
trying to preserve the look of the building.
right. You mean from the front end of the elevation in particular.
Right, so it looks like it's maybe
Okay.
2 foot in.
Fred, what do you think of that?
I think it sounds great.
All right, and then the same distance on from the other window.
Yep.
All right, so we'll write it up that way.
And what's the material is going to be a canvas or whatever?
Correct.
It's canvas on a metal frame, I think, right?
Yeah, it's an aluminum frame, and I didn't put a color in there because I was hoping to have that dialogue with HARB as far as color.
Well, can we talk color? Color, color doesn't come under our purview, but
Okay.
there's a color issue now on your property. When you originally proposed, your building and you did it that blue, I was gung ho for it because you didn't have the front signage. And so the blue is sort of a kitschy blue, I get it. It's a seashore kind of thing. And so to me, it was sort of part of your signage since you didn't have a piece of that big directory sign. Now that you've painted that directory sign in the blue
Yeah, sure.
and you've painted the back building in the blue, it's like to me, it's lost in this blue, and it's standing out not in a good way. That's my opinion. Again, we at HARB don't have any say over color. We can only just suggest, and we appreciate the ability to be able to have a discussion about it. So
So-
I certainly wouldn't want to see the awning be more blue.
No
If
blue
anything-
awning,
What?
no blue awning.
No blue awning. I mean, I think you need to,
How about phone booth red?
yeah, no. I don't get the phone booth. I don't, anyone can put anything of historic interest or whatever on their property and garner
Well-
some attention, but
well,
I don't
Joy-
get the reference.
Joy, we have three things that we're doing here.
Right,
So
I get it.
rather than talk about overall color,
Right,
um, we're talking about the awning color.
right. Well,
And it
and
seems
so
like
my
we
preface, but my preface to all that was,
Right,
got a lot of blue going on here, and it's,
Right.
in my mind, it's too much and it's overwhelming. So
Okay.
the awning needs to tone things down. So, I mean, I would do it in the white to contrast with the white that's on the building, to blend in with that.
That's what I like.
That's exactly what I was going to suggest as well. I think that would be really sharp. Yeah. Yeah. And attention getting.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
well,
All right,
Yeah, there we go.
play with
Okay.
this.
Thank you, Tim.
the phone booth. Comments on that?
You have some questions on the other thing. Can you?
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Again, I think that a lot of people, before you decide on the color of the awning, I think there's a lot of people in town that are concerned about the color of the buildings, both buildings and the sign. And I know that currently it's not part of what the historic board does, although I'm not really sure why, because part of the state board says that you're supposed to do color. And I think that a lot of people I know, I'm concerned about how it really distracts. And I know that, certainly it's a hardship on the business owner who just painted this, but maybe could there be some consideration of going to historic colors instead of just trying to mitigate the blue with a brighter white awning? I mean, it's kind of starting to look like Coney Island Yardley instead of the historic district.
Well, Dawn, let me just say this much. I mean, this is not within our purview of this. I mean, it's very simple. This is not in the jurisdiction. I mean, this business owner is allowed to execute his rights and paint the building whatever he likes. I mean, this is not something that we can change. I see that Susan Taylor is aboard, and she was originally involved in some of the regulations that were set up for the historic district. And I understand that we're not in a position to be judging what the colors are. And if the general public's not happy with it, I'm sorry, but I mean, it is in the commercial district. This is a commercial business person that wants to draw attention to his business. It makes sense according to his theme to me. I mean, it's like, do I love it? Of course not. But I mean, I think it works for him, and I don't think that we have the ability to deny him that. So,
But
Susan, can you
Tim,
back me up on that?
Yeah, Sue.
Let me
I would
explain.
like to say thank you
You
for
can
that.
have the
But
historic
Sue was,
district can be
Dawn, Sue was
revoked
on
by
the
state.
original when they wrote it, so let her explain.
When we originally enacted the historic district, it was an uphill battle. People were very concerned about being regulated. And at that point in time, including paint color was a make or break issue. So we left paint out because paint is temporary. It can be undone. So there's no permanent damage. Dawn's absolutely right. Paint is regulated in a lot of other historic districts, probably most of them. Yardley Borough is an exception to the rule, I think. Paint hasn't come up a whole lot in Yardley Borough. Many of you who have lived here for a while remember when the house at the corner of East College and Canal Street was painted a rather bright lavender. And fortunately, that didn't last too long. I don't think it's inappropriate for HARB to express its opinion about how the paint color coordinates or enhances the historic district. You have no power to put it in your
Certificate of appropriateness.
your advice to Borough Council. But I will speak for myself. And I was absolutely struck today. I was coming home from work, coming south on Main Street at the traffic light, looked past the light up South Main Street, and I was taken aback by this sea of blue, which I had never really encountered before. I was sort of stuck on the mural, which is pretty bright and vibrant itself in the past. And now there's this blue that detracts, immediately draws your eye only to that building, not to the rest of the building within the downtown. To me, it's not playing nicely and fairly with the other business owners who are trying, I think everyone's trying to create this vision of historic Yardley, vibrant Yardley, but not anyone trying to outcompete the other to attract attention. And there's my lecturette. Thank you.
We had that same problem with signs. People want to always have a bigger and bigger sign. And it's always a competition to the point where we don't see the historic district because all we see downtown is signs. So it's sort of the same kind of problem. Wes, can you had your hand up? Wes, your mic's off. Wes, are you there?
He's
He's
connecting.
coming on.
He's trying.
There you go. Oops.
Hey, Fred, I have a question for you while we're waiting for Wes.
Sure.
Yeah. So to Susan's point, so we have the color of the small cottage in the front. And I think that we've all kind of been impacted by that, and we have our opinions about that, obviously. But so I guess you're buying the back building. I think I heard that you're actually purchasing that or something. I mean, would you have any interest in addressing the things that we're talking about here and maybe doing something a little different with the back building versus making this what was just described as a sea of blue? Is it something that you would be willing to kind of mitigate a little bit? And are you hearing the point?
Yeah.
Or is there something you can add here?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to add. I'm not going to add too much, but first, let me make sure everybody understands that this is my wife's Nicole's business. She's a sole proprietor of the business. I'm the director of operations. So when it came to what Susan just said, I think some of the points she made are just really misdirected when she's talking about competition. The building and the theme of the business are coordinated. I am not in competition with any other business. There's no other seafood, sandwich, lobster roll business in the area. So it's not like there's a bunch of seafood places and I'm trying to stand out. That's not the case. We are themed according to our service. We have a brand. And when we asked about the colors, we were told that we could paint any color. And then that's what we did. It was not to be bolder or to be a beacon. It's just a Cape Cod color, the blue and the white and the lighthouse. That is our theme. Now, if I owned a brewery and I put brewery items around, that would be the same thing. You know, Jim is in this meeting. You walk into Jim's vault and what does he have right there? Right? It's the same thing. He's not competing with me. It's just the theme. So I take everything that everybody says with respect. I'm listening. But the brand is the brand. All of the businesses that are opening in Cape May and in Princeton are all the same color. So it is what it is. You know, we just follow the guidelines. We're not being difficult at all. It's just, this is the brand, this is the color. If we were told
I also like
that
to,
we had certain colors to
Yeah.
guideline, then we would fall in that guideline. Go ahead, Nicole.
I understand that everybody's opinion is, matters, but if I had a penny for every single person who's walked in and said how much they love it, if I didn't hear all that, I maybe think that the handful of people here, it's just the reaction has been overwhelming. I'd say in the opposite direction.
I think what
I
Sue was
would
talking
agree.
about, not speaking for her, but we're talking about not competition with businesses. You're talking about competition with the historic character of Yardley, which is what HARB really is concerned with. So it's not business competition. That's great, but it's one building overwhelms all the rest of the architecture in the town, and we're HARB, so that's what we're concerned with. Sue, do you want to talk again?
No, I simply wanted to say that I meant visual competition.
Jerry, can you hear me now?
Yes. Hi, Wes.
I apologize, having a problem with my webcam and mic. I had a question pertaining to the awning and the service window. Mr. Rabina stated that the service window was driven out of COVID and then the awning due to people being outside. I'm just curious, first question, if COVID ever goes away, does the service window go away? And second question, did the health department approve the service window? Thank you.
I don't know that it would go away. I think that people like to just come in, order and walk out. It's such a tight space there. It's only 450 square feet total. So, you know, if we have 2 customers in there, it starts to become a little tight. So, you know, I think they just feel physically more comfortable waiting outside. So I don't know that would be the case. And as far as the health department, it's never come up. It's not an issue.
Okay, I'll forward you an email that I got from the health department. Thank you.
Thank you.
Going back to the paint, what's your plans for the rear building?
No plans yet.
Because what Tim was talking about was, and I don't know quite where he's getting at, but I think having both buildings that bright blue, the roof the bright blue, the exhaust fan the bright blue, it's over domineering, whereas the single original Girton meat building is not. So is it possible to follow through with Tim's suggestion of maybe doing something different with the rear building? Nicole or Fred, any comment on that?
Well, I mean, we just painted it. It falls into our theme. I would be more than happy at another time to meet with HARB and go over some suggestions. Sure.
Okay. Was there a reason why you painted the roof blue?
It was already painted.
I know, but blue?
Well, it was painted red, so we just switched the colors, everything that was red to blue, everything that was black to white.
So the ventilator was red?
Yeah, yeah, everything that was
I think
previously.
you're right. I think you're right. So I remember that.
And it was called the Red House.
Not much, yeah.
All right. Going back to the phone booth. My thought is, when we look at that picture, that the phone booth, I'm concerned with the historic character of the building. Okay. And by the phone booth, right at the corner of the building, and you'll hear this again with the sign, you're detracting from the front Girton Meat Market building. In other words, if the phone booth was back, maybe, you know, farther away from the front facade of the building, and that's really what's historic, is the front facade. That nice flat sidewall is pretty common. But anyway, so if that was moved back a little bit, then you would be detracting from the front of the building. Thought on that? Or move it to,
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Jerry, you broke up a little bit.
no, go ahead.
So you're asking me, would we move the phone booth?
Yes,
Where would you like it?
away from the front of the building. Doesn't have to be far, just away from the front of the building. In other words, my concern is the historic character of the front of the building, which is the old Girton's Meat Market. And by having a phone booth right there, you're obliterating the sign of the corner of the market, or, you know, the building. The same comment was for the awning. When the awning went right up to the corner of the building, you're taking away from the character of the building. By moving it back or somewhere, then, you know, it's not as obvious.
Hey, Joe, can you bring up that image and screen share of the front of the building showing the phone booth? Can you do that, Joe?
I just have the picture of the young man showing the phone booth. You can see it on the corner. Yeah, if you can, I'll show you what I got.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's enough.
Okay.
That's about as much as I can do there. But you can
Um,
tell it's on the corner of the building. You can tell where it is.
Oh, I see. Okay. There's not a good shot of it from the
In
front.
the application, there's that picture of the side of the building with the phone booth and it shows the front too.
Yeah, there it is. I mean, you can see there's the phone booth
There's a
right there.
picture of it in the
Right.
application.
There it is, Joy. It's right there.
Well, where the heck would he move it, Jerry?
Yeah, over here someplace.
Yeah, right there. Somewhere in between, well, probably to the last of the window, so it wouldn't be underneath the canopy. Between the last two windows. Yeah, right there. Right there, yeah.
So on the side of the building.
Yeah, it's still on the side of the building. Just get it away from the very, very front of the building, right in that corner.
Right.
That's all. We have a lot more leeway at the side of the building. You know, a lot could happen there, so.
Right.
What's your thought on that, Nicole?
I mean, obviously we're open to anything. Where'd my husband go? Just curiously. Lost everybody. I can't see. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't think we're like against talking about that, obviously. My only concern would be that it'd be open where it would be opening. So if somebody was in it and they walked out and the car is coming, I don't know, it's just a little bit more visible when it's on the corner. So I don't know if we put it where you're suggesting, just for safety purposes.
What, can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
The back building. When you, if you walk into the back building, to the left of the building, there's some space there, some open space to the left of the entrance. It's,
Where they
I
had
think,
the barbecue,
yeah, where he had the smoke pit.
right?
What do you think about there?
That'd be fine. That's not a historic building, so I'm not so concerned about that.
Sounds great.
Yeah, even better.
Sounds even better.
The way customers can still see it and it's not.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's there, I gotta be, it doesn't make a difference to me where it is because, you know, people just enjoy it. I don't want to put it like behind the building. So nobody, the whole idea of us putting it there is for people to enjoy it. And they do. They really do.
So in other words, maybe before you open up or do something in the back, you can move it to the side of the current building. And then if you open up the back building, you might then move it back there to get people's attention, draw their attention back there.
Yeah. And again, it's not really, we don't really put it there to get attention, but I understand what you're saying. I mean, it's just there because it's a nostalgic piece and, you know, people enjoy it.
Can we just say move it away from the front of the building for a recommendation?
What's your,
Just recommend that they move it away from the front of the
well,
building.
I think we should take him up on his suggestion to move it to the back, by the back building in that space. There's plenty of room there. People can gather and they can take photos if they want to. And it's just not smack dab in the front.
Sounds like a great compromise. And
I
we
think
could-
that's where it should go. I think it's
and-
better than the side. Than
and
it
we,
is.
and we could agree to that, and then we can move on to the sign in the front.
Right,
That would be
right.
nice. Yeah.
Okay,
All right. Good.
all right. Okay,
Lauren's saying they're driving an hour to come see our photo booth. They're coming to say they're driving an hour to come get our lobster roll. So,
okay. For
something
the
else.
sign. Okay. Comments. I have some comments, but I'm gonna hear others first.
Just my comment is about the spacing of the white sign to the blue background. Just maybe an explanation. Is that part of the, is that part of the
Yeah,
logo?
so-
or-
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on you there. Yeah, so when I superimposed it, it's a square picture. So like when I enlarged it, it went beyond the frame. So I thought that in the meeting, I'd just be able to tell you that on the left and the right side, it would just be white all the way across to the end. So it would
Okay.
encompass the frame, but because of my inability, you know, to move the JPEG or fit it in there, that's how it wind up coming out.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. I thought maybe it was a more of a computer kind of glitch there. So naturally, yeah. So
Yeah,
any,
so that-
any thought to a contrasting border between the white sign and the blue border, like another element that you might bring in there? Just a thought. I mean, rough suggestion.
Trim it in white, like the, you
Or-
see how there's that border, there's the actual frame, and then around it, there's that freestanding border. I could do
Yeah.
that in white.
So is that in essence, does that become a border of that blue border? Does that kind of go around it then? I guess it would, right?
Yeah, you have the actual sign space,
Right.
and then you could see around it, there's that trim, you know, you see the pole goes up, then
Yep.
there's the frame, and then there's the part that holds the sign. I could do that whole frame as white to break up the blue.
I would say that would be a good aesthetic improvement. Yeah.
I would agree. I would recommend painting the sign white, the post and the frame pieces going around it. And then where you have your sign, your La La Lobster is going to be larger on that sign, right? It's going to be
Correct, yeah, and it's white.
Yeah.
it's
so a
white. And so
yeah.
then, and so have it as a blue picture frame. That should be the only blue elements on this sign should be a blue picture frame bordering the La La Lobster, which is going to be on a white, and then make the rest of the sign white. And that way your La La Lobster is going to pop instead of this blue thing going on. It's too much. And I think that visually it'll be much more attractive and garner the attention that you want to get from signage.
Yeah, and just so everybody understands my mindset here, I'm here at the meeting because this is, you know, the feedback that I want. The reason that all that is painted blue is because if I had a nickel for every time somebody came in and said, why does it say Red House if you're blue? Is this the Red House? You know, if you remember in my very first HARB meeting, the first thing one of you said was, are you changing that sign up front that says Red House? That shouldn't be the Red House sign. And I said, no, they weren't going to let me use that sign. Do you guys remember that?
Right, and that's why I said to you originally when I first spoke about the blue, I went along with the whole blue idea because you didn't have access to that sign. So
Yeah.
I got that you needed to make a statement, and the front building is a small enough building, and so I got that, and I saw that more as going along with your signage. And what I was trying to say in the beginning of this meeting is, now you've got just too much blue. It's like screaming out, and you no longer have that issue in the Red House. I mean, I agreed with you. It was terrible that you couldn't use some of that sign, but now
Yeah.
you've got it. So make
Yeah,
it an attractive sign.
Okay, all right, good. So we'll do that. That's and I was already thinking that, but just kind of holding it for the meeting, because really all I wanted to do was get rid of that Red House sign. So I just painted it blue, just so everybody knew that the Red House wasn't there anymore.
Right, so we understand then, Fred, the whole interior rectangle that we're looking at will be white in border and in principal sign, right, correct? And we're also then hearing that you would have a side awning on the building that would also be white. Is that correct?
Correct.
That's a nice combination, my opinion.
I'm going to go with my opinion on the sign. It obliterates the front of the building, and you've heard all night how I'm saying that you can't see the building. And with that sign coming north on Main Street, you don't see the building. All you see is the sign. And the sign meets the zoning ordinance. Has to be less than 12 foot high, and this is 11 foot high. It has to be the width of the property or the building, which is 16 foot, and the sign area is 16 foot. Historic design standards say the maximum for the structure is 9 foot. The maximum height for the sign is 7 foot. And the maximum area for the sign is 8 to 10 square foot. That's on page 5 of the guidelines. This thing that I had everybody get. And so my recommendation to council is that the sign be replaced with a sign keeping in character with the historic district as per the sign guidelines. Comments?
Well, he's got an existing sign that he can still use
Yeah, why wasn't this done when it was Red House?
because it was an existing sign
Right.
before. See,
And I'm saying because we're changing the sign that we should bring it into the historic standards rather than,
right. I get what you're saying, Jerry.
and council can say it's an existing sign and they can keep it. I'm just saying that we ought to, and not just this sign, whenever we have signs coming up on Main Street, we need to shrink them. We've got to get them smaller. And this one's coming up now, so this is the time to do that.
So Jerry, in what ways doesn't it comply? It's too high.
Right. And the area is too. The historic design guidelines are different than the zoning ordinance.
Okay,
Sign guidelines recognize that for the historic district, you need to have more parameters than what the general sign ordinance is. And so the historic design guidelines talk about, I mean, it should be set from the property line, but you don't have any choice here. You have no property line there anyway. So, but it says maximum for the structure is 9 foot, and that's 11 foot. And the maximum height for the sign is 7 foot. And that's just about 10.5 feet, I guess. And the maximum area is 8 to 10 feet, and that's 16 square feet. So that's what the design guidelines say. Yes, Wes. Wes.
he's muted, I think.
Yeah, I know he has to unmute. Joe.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a clarifying question, Jerry, and obviously you and the rest of the board probably have dealt with the council a lot longer than I have. So I'm wondering that, I'm making the assumption, this may or may not be true, that the sign as it exists now was acceptable for its use when the building was the Red House and whatever the deli that was in there before then. So my question is, if that would have been permitted to continue, does the change in ownership or the change in business location kind of reinstitute either the zoning ability to request a change, or the HARB's ability to request a change in the size of the sign, or is that original sign grandfathered along with the business? Just trying to save us some time. If it's the latter, then it's up to the business owner, and we can make suggestions as we have, and he's been very flexible with his reactions. But if it's not something that we can require because it's tied to the change in ownership, then it is just a suggestion, right?
Right, we're advisory. Council would make the determination. So council's solicitor could say, it's grandfathered in, we can't change it.
Okay, so we don't know, that's the question. Is it, do we know that it's grandfathered or that it's not?
Well, I guess it's an interpretation. If you're changing the sign, do you have to put a new sign in? Can you force them to?
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's a question for the council, just to have somebody clarify that. Because then again, Jerry, it comes down to the business owner's willingness to be flexible as opposed to the town or HARB enforcing a regulation. It's one or the other, right?
Well, my opinion is the council would say it's an existing sign and you can keep it. I'm just thinking that HARB should make a stand and say, hey, sign should be smaller and keeping with the design guidelines.
Well, again, HARB can make a stand, but if it's not in HARB's jurisdiction, that it's a suggestion, and I respect its suggestion. And I think all these suggestions on both sides of this
It's in our jurisdiction to enforce the sign guidelines.
Again, but if the town has already made the decision that it stays with the business and does not have to be replaced, the town has overall authority, right? So if
They'll
we
make
just
the decision after it goes to them.
Pardon me?
They make the decision when it goes to them.
Okay, I mean, is there a way to get that clarified in advance, or this is just going to be a circular argument, right?
No, I think you'll probably all outvote me and just say keep it, and I'll be a dissenting vote.
Okay.
If you want to know how it's going to go down, I mean.
I thought it was more objective than that. I'm sorry.
Well, I can make one quick suggestion here to the HARB board. That are there any suggestions from the other members of how the signage could look more historically appropriate or be more in harmony with the building? Are there other suggestions that the board could make that maybe Fred would consider? In the existing sign?
I'm kind of hung up on the typeface in the historical district here. The guidelines, that it's encouraged that we use typefaces that are kind of consistent with the historical character of the historic district. So I assume that that's your logo, that's your corporate identity typeface. You probably use that in Cape May. But I don't see that as consistent with the standards.
So if does HARB have certain font that is required?
I don't know that it's required. It's encouraged in the historical sign design guide that we use typefaces that are more historically consistent.
I wasn't given that information. So if that's the case, then just provide that to me. I mean, obviously we would prefer to have our logo there.
Right.
They have 2 pages of type styles in the guidelines. We haven't beat up on anybody before as far as their lettering style. Joy, do you have any recollection on that?
Well, yeah. Normally we have, if it's a corporate logo, we've allowed it to go on with some parameters, but I mean, the sign you have currently on the side of the building is a different type. I'm just, because I'm looking at pictures that you've got. if there was, and that's more of a traditional look instead of that sort of that script. But I don't know, you know, if you're using the same logo thing everywhere, I can understand that.
Well, Joy, if I could interrupt you there, the
Sure.
sign, the sign that was on the side of the building was just a temporary banner. That's no longer there.
Okay, but I'm just looking at that typeface. You know,
Okay.
that typeface is very different than what you've got proposed.
Yeah, the one that we've proposed is our logo that we've trademarked.
Okay,
So
okay,
that's just the corporate logo.
right, okay. Well, that answers that question.
Wes, do you have a comment? Or does that just not turned off?
I don't, Wes's hand has been up for a long time now, so I think someone didn't turn him off.
Okay. Can I turn that off or not?
Probably not.
All right. Any other comments on the sign?
I would like to comment. I've been bringing this to council for a number of times about the sign pollution in Yardley. And I just think I agree with you on getting back to historic sizes. I know that a lot of people for years, business owners, my hairdresser used to be across the street, actually left Yardley because he spent so much time with his sign and had it all designed, and then everybody was just able to all of a sudden do whatever they wanted. And I think that it was mentioned that you don't really own this building yet. So could it be grandfathered in if it's not really, the deal didn't go through? And regardless, the proportions of it are just, I don't know why it went through before, but I agree that it would be time to correct it because it's not fair to other businesses who don't have, they're going to wonder why they can't have bigger signs in front. It kind of starts a snowball effect when you make one exception, and I know it's not his fault. You know, he just has it in front of his building, so it's not your fault. But again, it is being changed now, so it might as well go back to the standards that everybody else has to meet.
So you're saying that other business in Yardley you're retroactively going to make them meet these requirements?
Now, I appreciate the position you're in, and I really do feel bad that you weren't informed more about different things. And I know it's not your fault that we don't, for some reason, have that color part of the ordinance. I think that should be brought up at next council meeting, that it should be included. And again, it's not your fault that you weren't, that wasn't it at the time, but since you are changing it, it is being changed. It should fall into the category of meeting the standards that other people who change signs have to meet. I mean, again, I understand I'm a business owner also. I appreciate that you're trying to work with the borough and everything, but it's not proportionate to all the other signs in town. It kind of overwhelms the front of the building like Jerry suggested.
I don't agree, but
Oh, who was that? Who said they didn't agree?
Mr. Rabin.
hey,
Right,
Frederick,
okay.
yeah.
We need to keep moving, Jerry, because we've got other applicants waiting, and we haven't had votes on any of these things. So I'm just,
Okay, so is there anything else for La La Lobster? So,
Yes, there's somebody with their hand up.
oh, I'm sorry, Sue.
Okay. I'm hearing some people saying that they would like council to consider adding color into the consideration for historic district. Now is the time to speak up and go to Borough Council and give your reasons why that should be added to the historic district regulations.
And I would even add that in the situation with Mr. Rabina, that maybe the borough could consider even incurring the cost of painting it to meet those standards. They just received a large portion of funding, $246,000. I think if they passed it, it shouldn't fall on him to incur this cost. And obviously it can't be retroactive. It's not his fault that, but I would certainly suggest that it be brought to council.
We are going to undertake design guidelines. We've been requested by the administration to look at that. And I think I sent an outline of areas that we want to address. So I think that's one of those things that we should take up and work on these guidelines in a quick manner. Yeah, Jim.
Yeah, I'd just like to say the building in that picture next to La La Lobster is beautiful,
Mhm.
It is.
right? I mean, whoever did that building had an awful lot of the borough in mind in the color and the architecture and the material is used. I think it's just awesome.
And when
Right.
he came up with a sign, he actually came up with a much smaller and lower sign, so it didn't detract from the porch.
I just think it's awesome.
Commented on that,
Yeah, good example.
so.
Yep.
Oh,
Thank-
that's
Jim,
you, Scott,
Thank
isn't
you for that, Jim. Thank you.
it?
Yep, you bet.
Okay, so does anybody want to do the recommendation for approval or certificate of appropriateness? Would you like me to read what I have and then you can work on it?
You want me to do I'll do a,
Go ahead.
all right. We're gonna put all three things in at one time, right? Or do you want to vote on each one separately?
Why don't we do each one separately?
All right, well then let's do the awning. We're proposing that the awning be, follow the roof line, but be inset. And do we say like a foot in or 8 inches or a foot in from the corner?
Well, centered, how about centered between the corner and the window?
Okay,
About 2
and the
foot.
same, and then the same distance at the other end, yes.
Correct.
Okay,
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
aye,
Mention white, Joe, Billy?
white,
Aye.
Okay, yep, aye. Opposed? Okay, that's approved as recommended.
okay, and then I'll do the phone booth. Phone
Yep.
booth can be moved to the back building in that indented area, so there'll be plenty of room for it. And it gets it away from the front of the building, so as not to disturb the front facade.
Okay, so it's moved to the back of the building. Okay, is there a second?
I second that.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, and the sign.
I will recommend that the structure of the sign be painted white and that the signage area be bordered in blue and the lettering, it'll be on a white, the blue lettering will be on a white background and it'll have their logo and it should be proportionate. The lettering should be proportionate to that signage area.
So you're saying the structure is white, not blue?
Right. Structure is white.
Okay,
The panel where the sign is going, it looks like it has a frame.
yeah,
That should be painted blue. So that'll look like a frame around the
Okay.
white background and then the blue lettering.
okay. Then the sign will be white with blue lettering. Okay, okay.
I'm sorry, I need more clarity on that. The whole sign to be white?
I'm saying that, yes, all of the sign would be white except for the blue, the panel where La La Lobster's going, that would be painted blue so that it would be a blue border around.
So
The
the
lot-
only blue will be the lettering and the frame of the sign.
Right.
Right.
And the rest of it would be white.
Is that your understanding, Nicole?
Who?
Or,
Yes.
Agree on that.
yeah. Huh?
I said, I
Yep.
think we agree on that, yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, all those in favor?
That's an improvement. Aye.
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 Opposed? Nay? Okay. So,
That does it for that applicant, right?
Yep. thank you for your perseverance, everybody. I hope you're all learning about HARB.
Thank you.
Officer.
Thank you,
Thank
Fred.
you.
Thank you very much, Fred.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good night.
Really appreciate it. Thank you.
All
Now
right.
we'll go to the next one, right?
Okay, the second application is 62 South Main Street, Suite B. The,
Oh.
yes, go ahead. Tell us what you have here. For the massage parlor.
Hi.
Massage.
Yes. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay, so today I'm here is for the directory sign.
Mhm.
Actually, I already got the permit of my wall sign this week. So thanks for approving. Okay, so back to the directory sign. And actually the directory post already on the main street. And there is available spot for our store. So we just need to put it's kind of a sticker on that spot. And we're gonna use the same color and the content that we use for the wall sign. And the color is yellow and green, and have the store name and the phone number on it.
now that's
It's
up
like
there now,
that.
right?
Right.
That's
Huh?
installed now. That's up now. On the directory sign, it's there now.
Oh really? I don't know, cause I'm not in the store. I'm not in the store. My mom is running a business, so she's there. So yeah. So it's already there.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have to check with her. Sorry about that. Yeah. I can let her cover that. Sorry. I don't know. Yeah, but this is the thing we want to do.
Okay.
Gary, I don't know how much discussion there really is on this one. I mean, it's just a directory
Right.
tab going onto the directory sign.
Okay.
Um,
This will come up with the other sign that we have. HARB, of the sign guidelines, you can tell I've just read them. Their guidelines say that directory should have basically a series of colors, maybe 4 or 5 colors. And what we're having here is a multitude of colors. In other words, we're having like 6 or 8 colors on that directory sign. So every time someone puts something in, and I'm going to call it the medical center because a lot of people know it that way. You end up with a hodgepodge of different corporate logos all over the place. So what we have is the directory sign regulations, or the freestanding sign regulations, say there ought to be like 3 or 4 colors and not multitude. Now we've been approving these. The one up by Santander where Perry Warren is, there was another logo that went in there that has blue on it, and all the rest of the colors are uniform. Now, conversely, the Yardley Shopping Center just put in a new sign, and they're all uniform.
I know. It looks rather low.
So what the sign ordinance is saying is that they should all be uniform. And we haven't been following that at all. So thoughts, opinions?
I think it's a bigger issue that needs to be, that's bigger than this application. I get why we're talking about it, but
Okay, so Joy, thank you. I appreciate that. So with the other sign application, you'll notice that they have all uniform signs.
Right.
So when I'm talking about doing our design guidelines, what I'm proposing is that once we approve a directory sign with uniform colors and lettering that we approve, then they can change the inserts without going to HARB. As long as they hold to that same color scheme and all. If they do have something like Yan Yan's application, then it would come back to HARB.
Okay.
I'm looking at that as sort of like a design guideline.
Well, I think that's a good idea, but I think we've got this application we got to deal with and given the current sign
Right. So I'm just saying that,
for the future.
going to the guidelines, let's think about that when we look at these. So,
Right.
Okay, so is there a recommendation?
I'll make a recommendation that we accept as submitted.
Okay.
I'll
Second,
second.
is there a second?
I'll second.
Comment.
Yeah, Tim.
Jerry, you have an excellent point, and I think that maybe we should put in the comment to council that we're approving this sign, but we're also needing to abide by the ordinance and take a closer look for future applications. As a matter of fact, I think is it Greenfield that we're the Greenfield sign that we're
Yes.
reviewing next, I think fits the ordinance to a T, I believe, right? So.
Other than maybe size, but other than that, it's, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a consistent directory
Yeah.
sign. Directory sign could be crazy if it were all different colors, and that you're absolutely right. So
I think that's
maybe we should
idea.
just indicate to council, we're passing this, but I don't, we need to be more attentive to it in the future. I don't know how
I
you
agree
say
I
that.
agree with Tim.
You know, I don't think that we should just say, well, it's on the table, we need to pass it. Okay, fine. Jerry, you have a wonderful point, and if it's in the ordinance, which I believe it is, I mean, a directory sign should be harmonious. Each panel should be harmonious. And that's really more I think, in character to the district, and it's certainly not in this case.
But
So,
shouldn't that be taken up with the owners of the buildings who are really in charge of the directory sign and deciding
Right.
what spaces their tenants get?
yeah, and maybe we should go back to the original approval of that directory sign whenever that happened and how that was discussed and what the details of that were. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, thank you, Joe. Oh, okay, so that's the other directory sign where you can see it's completely, it's
Same lettering, same color.
Right,
same
right.
lettering, same color, exactly. That's a
Right.
true directory sign. And I'm not speaking for my opinion, I'm speaking for how I believe I interpret the ordinance.
Right.
And actually proportion to the size of the building and the location of the sign, it works much better with the facade of the building than the La La Lobster sign.
Hey, William. Yeah. Can you get my battery charger, please? I'm sorry.
All right, so we have a motion. Was there a second?
Yeah.
I'll second.
Okay, all approved?
Aye.
Right.
Aye, okay.
Aye.
Aye.
You're all set.
It's in by my desk.
And you're okay. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yep, you're all set.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Good night.
Next.
Okay,
I think we should do Greenfield next, really,
you
right?
want to do Greenfield?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do you mind if we do Greenfield? I think that should be real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fine.
Thank you so
Okay.
much.
So, Doug, do you want to explain what you're doing?
We moved, my daughter's acupuncture moved into Yardley. The owner, Max, let me know to just match the sign, and we have two, the reason it's covering, it's like Appletini photography is they both ours and theirs uses 2 units. So we're E and F, and Appletini's C and D. So that's why we covered two parts on the marquee. But Max, said exactly what you were talking about just a couple minutes ago, in that as long as we follow and use the same sign gentleman and copy the same letters, make sure all the colors and the sizing is appropriate, there shouldn't be any issue. So that's all we did, as we went to the business owner who we're renting from, the building owner, sign guy, and got the signs made.
Is there any other discussion? Is there a recommendation?
I recommend we approve as submitted.
Okay. Second,
I second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
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 You're all set. Thank you. And thank you
Thank
for
you.
bearing with us all this time.
Yes, thank you
Go.
so much. Really, really appreciate that. Yeah.
Okay.
And finally,
Yay.
I know. It's the
Jason.
last one. Yay.
Okay.
We made it. Here we
I
are.
know.
So explain what you're doing.
Okay, so hello, everybody. I think I've been here one other time. So I'm originally from Yardley. I moved out, I joined the military, and then just came back in 2019. I moved right back to Yardley and then purchased 55 East Afton and 49 East Afton. So I'm in this long process of bringing it back to life. And the next step is the outside of 55 East Afton. So currently the building has 4 different kinds of siding. It is aluminum. In the back, there's plywood T11 siding. On the side, there is wood. And then there's also hardy board siding that's mixed in. So again, 4 different kinds. Each side is kind of different. And my goal here is to bring it all to a uniform functioning siding by bringing in a premium product, LP Smart Side, which is a engineered wood product. And I would be taking that around the entire house so that there's no longer aluminum, there's no longer rotted wood siding, there's no longer plywood T11 siding or T150, whatever it's called. And then just making it all one uniform piece. So the only thing I am dressing right now is the siding itself. There are, there's wood windowsills, there's wood framing and all of that, and that would remain the same. The only thing that would come on is this siding.
Yes, Tim.
Dan, could you explain to us a little bit more about the siding product that he's proposing?
What he's proposing is a Louisiana Pacific siding product that is made from OSB strand board, little chips of wood that's all glued together and pressed and then pre-finished, and looks like regular siding. My concern is that I don't know where you are with respect to base flood elevation, but I don't know whether that product is going to be acceptable by the construction official.
So when I could share my screen real quick, and there's a flood resistance evaluation on the product that includes both like the water resistance of it, because it's like coated in resins and waxes.
Right.
So I talked to a couple of different individuals about it and the company itself, and they said that, in comparison to hardy board, in comparison to wood, it's definitely superior and it's similar to hardy board. And of course, that's coming from contractors that, probably want to put it up, but they can also put up hardy board, and then the company itself could be a little biased. But when we look at the flood resistance part of the product, I mean, the company has certified that product.
The flood resistant talks about structural, not what happens to it if it's soaked.
So I thought the moisture cycling in accordance with NES protocol requirements, the ICC evaluation service. So yeah, so it's basically it's stronger than, if you were to look in it's stronger like tension wise, or like I don't know, I'm not an engineer, so like the racking strength is stronger than hardy board and wood. And then the moisture properties, because of the waxes, and then it's all covered in paint, would be something similar to hardy board. Because if hardy board actually gets wet, it starts to crumble, where this has like a little bit of resistance on that front.
The samples, I went in and looked at the sample that you provided, and then I saw the color samples.
Yes.
The exterior, is there no smooth finish? All the samples that were there on that sample thing are all ridged.
Right. And so the original, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And so what I was going to say is, what we've always recommended is, even when people were putting up hardy plank, is to get the smooth, choose the smooth surface, because that really simulates wood. having all of those, I mean, this was really extreme to me. Like it had lots of ripples in it, you know.
So
I
if
don't
you were to look at what I was trying to do is like go with the historic siding as much as possible. And if you were to look at the old siding, like it's ridged like that. And that's why I chose that.
But I can show you, do they make a smooth product?
They do. I
Yes,
don't know if it's available, but again, I was just trying to match the
Okay,
historic.
well, the ripples that you're seeing on your siding, you can come over to my house and we've got siding that's, you know, 1700s. And it's smooth. It's how it's been prepared over the years and the paint's been removed, you know, and sanded down. So it's really a smooth finish. I think, and especially if you look at places in Yardley, we've even recommended it for other products too, or other applications. If you get the stuff that has those spaces in between, it can get really looking dull and dingy because dirt gets in there. Whereas a smooth surface, it just to me, it holds a better look, aside from the fact that that more simulates what wood siding looks like.
The wood siding is smooth, not ripple. That's just old siding that's theoretically, makes it look what people think is more historic, but historically they're smooth.
A question for Dan. Dan, are you familiar with whether this product does come in a smooth finish?
It does. It does. And I agree with Joy. I think it would be more in keeping to go with a smooth finish.
Yeah.
And
I think you'll like it better, and I think it'll look better over time because it'll get a dirty look. If you look at like our fence, for example, used to get a lot of crud in it just because it had more of those lines in it, and then we changed out the fence, whatever, and it's smoother and it stays cleaner looking.
I mean, that makes logical sense. I would have to talk to the contractor. I'm sure it comes in smooth. I just don't know what that's going to do to the price and all that. And I don't know if this project would be contingent on that, because that'd be something I would be interested in talking about as well. Because definitely, like, I mean, I like the product because it looks like wood. And I mean, it has those water resistant properties that I definitely like. So I'd be open to it for sure.
Okay. And I'm assuming it's cheaper than Hardy Plank.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And just so we understand, just so we understand, so you're siding all four sides of this building, correct?
Yes.
Right. Okay. Mm-hmm.
And so everything, I mean, we can take a quick look. This is fun. I love looking at it. So there are multiple different kinds of aluminum siding. And so that definitely looking to get a facelift here.
What are you going to do with the trim? I see two different trim colors now.
So the trim I would paint. So the trim is wood, and I would paint that.
White?
Yes, all white. All one color.
It'll be fun when it's done. It really will.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a different thing.
It's coming together, and especially like some of the things that I'm finding inside, like those old wood floors and all of that were like people put rugs over it. I don't know why they did that. There's a lot of beautiful things in this house that, you know, definitely amazed at, and happy I was able to purchase it.
Great.
The front door, when we're talking about trim, if you can go to that one slide, yeah. You'll notice to the right side, there's this flat, smooth board, and the rest of the green part that you see has a more decorative trim. So it looks like someone's starting to alter or change out the trim to make it just simpler.
Are we talking?
But you're not doing trim at this point.
No.
At some point he is, but I'm just saying that it's already, we have aluminum covering over some of the windows, and so it's all over the place, and you would come back for doing, I mean, you're doing stuff in the windows now. You're going to be surrounding the windows. You're not going to touch those?
I mean, I can if the plan was like, honestly, I want to get like one thing done at a time. So the siding is like the next thing that's hurting, and obviously it's I mean, it's a 30 or 40 grand bill. So I'm trying to take like one thing at a time at this point. And yes, I mean, if you want aluminum, I can look into that.
No, I don't want aluminum. I'm just saying that it's got a decorative molding on the kitchen door, and I don't know if the other, like at the window heads there, they have see there's like a little crown molding below the, yeah,
That,
the
that,
one there to the right of the, you can see there's a little decoration to that molding, and the same thing for the sill. And you look at the other windows and they've all been wiped out where they have the aluminum siding. And I'm
right.
saying that, you know, if you're touching that trim, you want to make sure that it matches the original, not going something simple like just throwing on aluminum on it or something like that. And when you're residing, you're going to end up with that issue. You can't just keep the existing trim necessarily and make it work. You know, it's.
So I would definitely match. I would do the path of least resistance at this point.
Well, that's just putting a 2x3 in and be done with it. Or, you know, a 1x6 or something, or 1x4. That's the least resistance.
Can we see the whole building again and the the whole
But
facade?
that's a good shot, Tim. Do you see how you have that trim around the window?
Well, you have a crown on the top of the window on the right-hand side, no crown on the left-hand
Right.
side. So you
Right.
still have a disjuncture here that I think that needs to be corrected. And I understand the applicant, and we're very happy that he is doing this, renovating this building. But there is a coordinated step here between siding and trim and details and doorways and porches and all things that I think ultimately should be discussed with HARB to make this building all that it can be. I think that there's a point there that Jerry has that we have to look at this trim as well, Jay, and see how you're going to address that. So you don't,
Yeah.
eliminate something that you really need to pay attention to down the road. So
For sure. So this one is there, like I can look at all the different windows and they all have something different. So there is aluminum on some,
Mhm.
if I can find them. I think these ones back here. But like I could try to make them all even and then put like a little thing over it, the little crown molding maybe.
yeah.
I mean, you've got examples of the existing, so just follow what's existing,
Okay.
original.
Yeah, I mean that would be ideal. I'm trying to do that all, especially inside the house as well. So I mean that's the goal of mine as well. But if you just see like, I mean the siding's falling off, and so like that is the next thing that I need to address.
So on the front elevation, what I see is that what appears to be original is the crown, very simple crown molding on the right-hand side. And if you did carry that through to the left-hand side of the front facade, could be a very simple modification, and it could unify the front, which is now very much kind of ununified, where the left-hand side looks very different from the right-hand side. Understanding that you've got a lot of hodgepodge of windows here, but you may be able to unite it with a little bit of this crown molding on the front. Could we see that elevation again? Just the front elevation? Right. So, the right-hand side seems much more historic to me. Yes,
Mhm.
you even have some old brackets from old siding, old shutters there. And see that, maybe that's your story to tell, and try to carry that to the left-hand side if you possibly can, by maybe just adding a simple crown molding.
Yeah, and I don't think that's like a.
It's not a big deal, I don't think.
No, it's not, because it's literally just putting them on top. And
Yeah,
so,
yeah. I don't know if the rest of the board feels the same way, but I'm just.
See the door there, Tim?
What's that?
See the decorative molding on the door?
Yeah. Is it aluminum screen door? Is that what you're
Well,
seeing?
I'm not concerned about that, but the trim around the door frame, the door
Yeah.
frame.
And I could replicate that as well. Like
Yeah. That
That's
would be
rotted
great.
out, and I honestly like anything that's like totally rotted. I planned on like exactly putting what's there.
Yeah, that's
But
great.
you may have to do some of this at the time you're doing the siding. I think that's what
Right.
the concern is,
That's right, Joy. Exactly. Yeah.
because they're not separate pieces. It'll cost you more to then later go back in and try to do the windows again after you've already put on the siding when they discovered a rotten sill or a rotten whatever.
And so
That's
what if-
what is being recommended to you.
Yeah, so I can carry through that that top crown piece in all the windows. I don't see that being an issue.
And Jerry, can you elaborate on this door trim?
If we could move over,
The other
slide the
side,
window over more.
the other side of the building?
Yeah,
Yeah, that, keep going.
keep
The
going.
doorway, right?
There,
Yeah.
that one, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Zoom
yeah,
in
yeah.
on
okay.
that.
Yeah, I see.
See, so there, you see the one side, the gray board? That
Yeah.
was someone's attempt to just replace the trim. And my concern is that there's some really nice detail on the building that's gonna get lost if we just replace everything with 1x6s.
Right.
And I don't know how the windows are, they may be more decorative than just flat on the sides and the crown molding on the top. I didn't look at that specifically. One of my concerns, and Jay knows this, underneath the existing wood siding, if everybody's been down there and looked at it, is the original wood siding. And Jay says it's not, but you can see the lap on it, see the,
No, it's definitely, it's original wood siding.
okay.
The problem with it is like I can put my finger like through it. So it's like, it's just not, the other problem too is they put fairing strips down it,
Right.
which totally cracked. Like you can't see it here, but it's like trying to bring that back to life. Like I would have loved to, because that would have saved me money. But trying to bring that back to life, like I just think for the integrity of the building, putting that new product on there is
Now on the other side of the building, it looks nice.
So it does. The only problem is there was a leak on the inside of that thing, and there's like all the inside of that is all molded, if that makes, I don't know if that matters, but like I think it matters like to my health. But it was because there was a leak for there. It had to be like however many years. So I don't have a picture of the other side of the building, but truthfully, the wood siding on the other side of the building is definitely in better shape, but from the inside out, it doesn't look that good.
So my problem, what happened on South or West College Avenue, there was a house that had asbestos siding on it. And when they did the demolition, they took it off and they had this gorgeous wood siding. And we'd already approved aluminum siding for it, or some other kind of siding for it. I guess the other thing is that historically, whatever the lap of the inside should be the lap of what you're putting up.
So lap, can you define that? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm
Like,
sorry, the size of the siding. If
Yeah,
it's 6-inch lap, in other words, on the other side of the building, it's a lot wider lap than what you have here. So you want to
Yeah.
go with the historic lap.
So if this siding on the inside is the same lap as this stuff, and then on the other side, there's a wider lap, but that one seems newer because it's in better shape. So I don't know, but I'm thinking that the original is like somewhat the size that you see, which is like 4+ inches.
And is that what you're intending for the new siding?
That's correct.
Are you doing anything about the electrical in the front?
The
Moving?
electric, no, so I don't know how that works. That's annoying for me too, believe me.
Well,
So
and it's got to be moved so you can put siding up.
So I think, yes, right. The way I've heard, or like that my friends have said, is like you would dig a line under the road, and then they were not under the road, but in your lawn, and then they would connect it from underwise so that there's not this like huge line going to your house. I just don't know quite how that works.
I was going to bring this up because I think that the most distracting thing on the whole front of this building is the meter bank.
Right.
And I was going to ask the members of HARB if they'd have any suggestions, right down to maybe could it be boxed in some way? You're not going to get rid of the wire, and you're not going to ask this applicant to put the wire underground. I understand, but Dan, do you have any experience with this? Is there something aesthetically that could be put around the meters that could be opened?
Or can it be moved to the side?
That would be really expensive.
That would be expensive.
Yeah, it's just something where we could just disguise it more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't like it. So,
No, I'm sure, man. No one does.
yeah,
Code requires the panels to be a certain distance to the panel box inside. You know,
Yeah.
disconnect. And it's like a short, maybe it's 10 foot at best.
yeah, and that's what the panel box is right under there.
Does that sound right, Dan?
Yeah, I don't know exactly what the distance is.
But it's small.
And are they reading
Expect
these
it's gonna
meters
be
from
that
the,
height as well, as a flood control, right? You don't want the electric at ground level, so it's not
It
like
should
you
be
can
above the, how do you do that for electric boxes though? The panels should be above.
Oh, yeah, that panel and those meters are below the floodplain, I'm sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but can we box them? Can we make a decorative box to cover them up? That could be opened by the utility? Is that possible? Is that allowed?
good question, Tim, I don't know.
No, I don't know either. Yeah.
Well, now they have electric reading. I mean, they don't even go out here and read these things anymore.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, exactly. So,
Well, if they could, we could suggest it.
yeah, I mean, I think it would make a huge difference. And the way it ties into the siding for me is that it could be fitted in place before the siding's done or during the siding process. So
Well,
it
what do you
wasn't
do with a line
necessarily
going up?
expensive. Yeah, it would make a huge difference, So
Yeah,
some
but you
land-
got the line going all the way up above it.
yeah. Well, some landscaping would also probably help that issue.
Put a tree there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a bush.
I don't mind the wire as much as I mind where they put the meters. And often this is the case you see it around town. It's not a unique scenario.
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
you can find a way to mitigate it now, the building would look so much better if it's possible. So
I would prefer that. So if there's any suggestions or like anybody sees a house in Yardley that has something.
yeah, we'll have to
it's
see if we
definitely-
can, or what's allowed, Jay. We're not sure
Yeah.
exactly what the utility would allow us to recommend.
And
So,
whether or not maybe you need to get it raised a little bit just for safety I don't know. I have no idea, but it's obviously going to get moved around when you go to put siding underneath it.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it'll physically get moved around. I mean, well, it physically will, but I think they're gonna like probably pop it off and then. I don't know.
Slide the siding in behind it.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, at the very least, then some shrubbery or something in front would be nice in front of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and maybe Jay, you could just ask maybe the contractors if it could be boxed in some way, encased.
yeah,
So, it just kind of then painted the color of the siding. It could actually wind up blending in pretty nicely. So just, you could ask your contractor, maybe they would know. Or maybe our building permit officer would have some information on that too. So,
Jay, is there board siding sheathing underneath the existing wood siding?
is there wood board sheathing
In other words, you have plaster stud.
on some sides? So
I mean,
there
some of
is,
the wood siding isn't directly on the studs without any sheathing between it.
historically, I think that's how it is. But on the side where you see my cursor, there is that, it's not like plywood sheathing, but it's that old like plank board. That
Right.
goes down.
Right.
So that exists on that side. I'm unaware of whether it exists on this side. Under the aluminum, there's board, what's that? Foam board that's there. It's a mix.
Mhm.
I guess my concern is, and you've heard this, for flooding, the worst thing that can happen is you get mud in your walls.
Mhm.
It's horrendous. I mean, you have to rip everything out. And if you have the existing wood sheathing, then you have the existing wood siding, then you have the furring, and then you have your new siding, you're creating 2 or 3 layers of trapped mud. And I think all your demolition should go right back to that existing wood sheathing.
Oh, and that's the intent.
So you get rid of the wood siding you said you can put your finger through?
Yes. So here's the question is, so on the one side, there's sheathing below it. And then on the other side, I don't know what's below it because the siding, there's 2 layers of siding there. I don't know if that same sheathing exists. But if it did, then I would keep that. And I know, this product is meant to go straight to the studs. But it can also go to furring strips.
I think what they're saying is you nail to the studs going through the sheathing, you nailed to the studs, but your sheathing's still there. You need the sheathing for structural. And particularly at the corners.
Yeah,
So otherwise the building will fall over.
right.
So the sheathings are there. They're just saying that when you take your siding, you nail it right to the studs, not to the sheathing. And when you have that foam sheeting you have on the side there, that's why you can't nail to it, because there's nothing there.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, I won't oppose this, but I have concerns about the LP siding because I've never seen press board that hasn't swollen up and become a nightmare. You should prime the back of that stuff because the sample that they have there is just
Yeah.
exposed, and you got to prime it. And every time you cut a board, you got to prime the end of it so that every board is absolutely sealed with paint, because otherwise you're gonna have a nightmare and you're gonna
Yeah.
spend $30,000 for nothing.
That's exactly what I don't want. So.
Right.
Do you agree with me, Dan?
I do.
Nice question.
And I would double check that product to see whether it's approved for below base flood elevation. I'm not convinced.
I'm not either, but we're just looking at the aesthetic here, I guess, not the, but I would just,
From an aesthetic point of view, I got no issues with it.
right, but, yeah, so.
I just want it to be a smooth finish.
Right.
I can't imagine that there's going to be a huge price differential
I can't either.
between smooth and I think you'll like the smooth better. I understand what you were thinking, but I think the smooth will be a much improved look.
Yeah, and so I'll definitely talk to the contractor about that. And like, honestly, like a couple $1,000s, even if it's more, like it would be an issue if it's like $10,000 more or something like that.
How can it possibly be?
I just don't know.
I know, right.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have our concerns. Is there a recommendation?
I'd make a recommendation, we approve with the proviso that it's a smooth finish versus the rougher finish,
And 4-inch lap?
if that's the appropriate.
Is-
Yeah.
To match the original.
It matched the original, yeah, so.
Yep.
And also, Jerry, that the siding on both the east and west side of the building are installed on the same level. That there's not a step, that it's congruent. So I don't know if that's going to be so easy to do, but based on what I've heard tonight, it could be two very different bases that they're working on there. So
Well, one side's got 6-inch siding, the other one's 4, so, but
yeah,
you're gonna eventually replace it all, right?
I'll replace it all in one shot.
Now,
right.
are you?
And it will
okay,
all
so
be
this
one level,
application is
basically.
For
what
the
I'm-
entire
yeah.
building?
Say again? Yeah, entire building.
Okay,
Hey, Jerry, may I ask you a question?
yeah,
There's a lot of great ideas going around, and obviously, I think we've talked about maybe 5 or 6 different things, you know, as far as door trims and laps and different layers of siding. I apologize if I haven't read the initial submission closely enough. Are you satisfied that there's a, you know, A goes to B, goes to C, goes to D plan in existence that we fully understand and that we can approve? I guess I'm not sure exactly what we're approving. I mean, there are a lot of really good thoughts here. I don't know that there's a proposal that we say that if he follows that proposal, it's what we've approved. That's what
a lot of times we just say match existing trim.
Okay,
But
I mean,
when I do the write-up, I'll try and get into a little more detail.
But
yeah, you're the expert. If you're satisfied, I'm satisfied. I just don't have a clear idea. We have a, you know, a plan, an articulated plan that we can say, we can hold the applicant responsible for.
Well, I think the application is just for the siding. We know that he's going to encounter some window issues at the time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, Joey, I'm gonna write this up for our discussion.
Okay,
And when I write these all up, I send it to everybody.
right.
Okay.
And so don't just say, okay, it's just written up and okay. Look at my comments.
Yeah, okay.
And then, you know, if you want to add something or change something, same thing to you, Jay. There's a lot here.
Yeah.
So if you disagree with what I write up, you should get a copy of it. And if you disagree, you know, let us know. Okay?
Yeah. And
And
the only
Jay-
thing I'm like concerned about right now is like approving it contingent on smooth versus like the wood look. Like, I mean, because at the end of the day, like, is that enough to stop this from going forward? Because I don't know without talking to him, and like I'm not particularly opposed to it, although I like the smooth idea. But I wouldn't want that to like stop the whole project.
I probably won't get it written up until after Easter anyway.
Okay.
But if you can find out tomorrow, let me know. Otherwise, I'll write it up smooth. And then if you have a problem with it, before it goes to council, get back to us and we can always bring it up again.
Okay.
And Jay, I would say to you, if you start encountering issues with the windows or when you're talking to your contractor and you start to realize, then you may want to come up with a proposal about the windows specifically and come back to us, you know, to address the windows. Because I mean, you're going to encounter problems.
Okay.
We all have experienced this in rehabbing our houses and doing things to old structures. So you may want to, you know, address it. I know you don't want to spend the money. I get that.
No, that's yeah,
It's just that-
definitely like
Yeah.
it has to happen at some point.
Well,
There is an opportunity to save money, and I could bring it up. Like, so this part right here, just that outcropping is hardy board. And if I were to keep the hardy board there and not put a matching LP Smart side, then all I would have to do is paint that. But I don't know if everybody would be okay with that.
We can't go around telling you to rip off something that's, you know, unless it's a demolition by neglect.
so we would be okay with that.
Okay.
If you could make it blend in and look fine.
I would
by
have to
paint- by
paint it.
painting it all.
Yeah.
And if
It
it's
would
the
drive
same
me
lap-
nuts.
the same lap size, it could very
Yeah.
well work. Yeah, and that wouldn't be a unique situation by any means.
Yeah.
So,
And
I
if
mean,
it's
that'd be
in good
cool.
shape, if it's in good shape, why change it?
So the only reason why I was thinking about changing it is because I want everything to match exactly. But
Right.
it's going to match. All I would have to do is paint it. And
Get
that was-
over it, paint it.
Yeah.
Save
exactly.
yourself some money if you can.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have problems with windows and rot. You will. There's just no
Yeah.
question.
Boots have been upgraded. Be my boots upgraded?
Okay, so we have a motion, I guess. And is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. All right, so I'll try and get this, maybe I'll try and get it out on Saturday or something like that, so we can all review it before council. When's next council?
I think the 6th. I don't know why I know
Next
that. I
week,
think it was in
yeah.
the email.
Wow, so that's really close.
Yeah.
And Jerry, can you include our comments about the meters?
Oh, okay.
You know, just whether something can be done to, you know, to mitigate that a little bit. That's a real eyesore on the facade of this building. And we also talked about some crown molding on the left side of the front facade. Jay, can I just ask you, this is probably out beyond what we're doing, but it does relate to what your building looks like. You have a couple signposts that are out there that have been left over from, I guess, commercial days.
I'd like to get rid of them.
I mean, I think that they mar your facade,
Yeah,
and
Agreed.
if there's not some purpose for them, I think it would be nice to see them
away.
removed. Yeah.
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 So definitely there is this one. It's like honestly falling apart at this point.
Yeah.
Definitely want to get rid of it. So I recently broke my leg. So when that gets better, I can work on getting that.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Okay. I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But yeah.
And you know,
Happy to do it.
with a meter bank, I mean, you could even try, you know, a nice section of maybe decorative lattice fencing, in combination to some landscaping. You could probably get creative with that and
Yeah.
make it work.
Honestly, I think
Yeah.
a bush.
Big bush. Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I have a similar situation with one of my buildings where, you know, there's a really ugly, you know, HVAC unit that I didn't even put in. And I put a little piece of lattice fencing in front of it. And frankly, like you don't even see it. It just all blends in. So sometimes it's the simplest solutions. So anyway, thank you very much for tackling, you know, a local eyesore. You're going to make this
Yes,
so much
really.
better. And we really appreciate your young energy and your investment in our town. So thank you so much for that, really.
Absolutely. It's my town too. I grew up here.
Oh, good. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, we applaud it, Jay.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. And thank
And
you.
thank-
And we're here to advise and help. That's what it's
Yeah.
all about.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And thanks for being the last applicant and waiting so long. It was
Oh,
a
my goodness. Yeah.
long
Yeah.
night.
We did it.
Yeah,
9:25.
one of the longest.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. And
All
we'll
right.
talk
You're
soon.
welcome.
Take care.
Yep.
All right,
So
Mr.
everybody, look at those design guidelines. Think about what you might want to add or subtract. Did you get a copy of that?
We did, yeah.
Okay.
Not tonight, Jerry.
No, just look at it, expand on it. If there's other things you
Right.
think we ought to be looking at, let's get an overall outline of it. And then we can, like, one meeting can tackle siding, one meeting we can tackle.
Good idea.
signs, you know,
Yeah.
Good idea.
tackling signs and
And
then.
Jerry, I want to just backstep on something, and
Yeah.
I don't know my opinion exactly on this, but I certainly thought a lot about it tonight. And that's that other HARBs that actually regulate collars.
Yes.
I have to say that my gut feeling on that issue is probably, it's worth looking at, that it could be that this lobster situation is bringing up a point of, frankly, I didn't even realize that HARBs and other communities could regulate colors to bring some harmony. And maybe it is timely to think about whether we have a council that would pass a modification to the HARB ordinance or ability to control that. I don't know how the other members feel about it, but I certainly thought more about it tonight than I've ever thought, What's your thoughts on it?
Oh, I think everybody wanted them originally, and then council just wasn't going to buy into it. Were you
Yeah.
there for that time, Joy?
No,
Oh, you weren't. Okay.
no.
I'm sort of mixed on it because, we had the pink,
Oh my God.
50 South Main Street, the pink house. It's now brown or whatever. And,
Yeah.
that was wild color. So you can have yellow and
Sure.
different colors, and at some point people might going, oh, well, it's just not the colors that I like. So therefore,
Starts to relate to taste, right?
so I think it's a danger.
Slippery slope.
I think the problem with La La Lobster is just it's so extensive.
It is very extreme.
If he had taken your suggestion and painted the back building different than the front building, it wasn't that bad. But we're not Cape May.
Yeah.
And we could say that we don't want this color because of the historic character of the town. Not so much the color, but just saying that it doesn't match the historic character of the town. It's a really thin line.
Yeah.
But
well, Susan had a good point tonight, and she said that the HARB indeed could open the dialogue to that and say, we can't
Right.
legislate it, but we can suggest, and so often we suggest things that actually happen, right?
Right.
We can try to guide, and we could certainly in the future, something's going to happen with the back building and La La Lobster, obviously something that he didn't want to go into tonight, but something's happening. So we
Right.
could always suggest at a future meeting that maybe that building be some type of contrasting color, but not.
and he might rent it out, and the people may want to be something different than La La Lobster.
I have a feeling he's owning it.
Yeah, I would guess if he's painting it, Jerry, he's got plans on it. I agree with Tim. He's got a plan already. He just didn't want to.
No,
Yeah.
I think he said he's buying it. I think he said.
Oh no,
He's buying it, but I think he has plans to use it.
I would
yeah, I believe
suggest
that.
he's going to
Yeah.
expand to a dine-in. If I was a betting man, I'd say he's looking to
Yes.
make it a dine-in.
I agree.
Yeah, that just makes sense. Yeah, that just makes sense. So what do you want us to do with the sign ordinance, Jerry? You want us to just review it and tweak it and add to it and edit it?
No, all the guidelines, historic district guidelines. We don't really have any. The only one we do have is the sign ordinance, historic sign. That's the only guidelines we have. We have some things that we always approve. But siding, we should probably say something like, we want wood siding, but, if it doesn't make sense, then go with, hardy plank, or if it's a less conspicuous location, go with hardy plank.
Yeah.
But they want something so applicants can come in and have a rough idea where we're going to come from. That's the idea.
That of course makes sense. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so.
All right.
All right?
Yep.
Jerry,
Yeah.
if I may, I'm Gail Posey, by the way. Thank you so much for letting me observe tonight. I learned a lot because I was wondering what you guys do and don't do. And if I may ask one question,
Sure.
how do you determine if a building qualifies as for demolition by neglect? Do you do that, or who's in charge of identifying buildings that?
That would be the construction official, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would have to make, we might recommend that, express a concern if we see it. But really, it's the building inspector who's going to decide whether it's being demolished or not, so.
Okay, so as a citizen of Yardley, the building inspector would be who one would go to suggest?
Right.
Okay.
It does come to us, though. We have had
Right,
to
because
make recommendations to council.
Right, because it's in the ordinances.
Yes, yes. So it comes to us, but it first has to go through building.
Someone has to refer it to us.
Right.
That,
And
that
so,
was my question, was how it happens. Yes.
so I'm thinking of the last time was the building on Main Street that came down, and we took a field trip over and walked through it. And I forget the percentage, but it was a very high percentage of it that was not salvageable. That, lent to its coming down.
Yeah.
And not even preserving the front facade.
Yeah, I'm not talking about demolishing it. I'm talking about painting it.
Oh, painting it.
Yeah, I mean, it falls under demolition by neglect, but
And
it's,
it wouldn't be anything like College and Main Street, would it?
it would be 104 South Main. Yes, it would be.
Funny how we sort of know these things.
Yeah.
Now, I asked Paula about that, and she said that council asked that the porch be taken off.
Right,
It
but
wasn't
that was,
Dr. Wilson, it was
That was
council.
a million years
That
ago
was
because the
over
porch was falling down.
that was
Right.
over 15 years ago that
Yeah.
the porch was taken off. I know, I'm familiar with that, but nothing's been done to it since then. And
Nothing.
it's,
Right.
I mean, there's holes in the side of the garage. It's horrible.
So I would bring that to the attention of the building official then.
So then I should make a phone call?
But I don't think not painting is.
That's Paula to
demolition.
communicate something in writing, and then somebody has to address it and talk about it. And then if it comes to our board, we can certainly address it.
Yeah.
And,
But I don't think painting is demolition. Not painting isn't going to be demolition.
It's under 11901H, lack of paint permitting water penetration of wood or rusting of metals.
No, demolition by neglect is what you're talking
Correct,
about.
it's
Yeah.
under
So you're not
demolition
taking
by
care of it,
neglect.
and the building's getting worse and worse and worse
Right.
and worse and
Yeah,
worse.
in the
And
historic
after a while, you're going to lose the historical
Yes,
property that's in our town because no one's paying attention to it
yes.
for whatever reason. But sometimes it's economic, and then when it's economic, it's awfully difficult to
What was that?
enforce that.
Yeah, what was that section?
It's 11901, demolition by neglect. It's under number 1H, as in Harry.
Okay. Okay,
I did my homework,
very
You
good.
did.
but I was also very interested to see what you would do with La La Lobster. So,
It was a tough one.
yeah, because I'm like a lot of other people in town and think it's eye-catching.
That's one word.
That's polite.
I think it should be white with that blue trim, but hey, nobody asked me. But
Right.
if you have to have that blue, anyway, no, it really detracts from the historic feel of the town. And if I would be the other houses and businesses that are right around there, I'd have a fit.
Well, I think that's going on. I think
Yeah,
people
like
are upset about it.
Like the house that someone said was beautiful right next door to it. I mean, they obviously painstakingly
Yes.
did a wonderful job on that, and across the street, Eli's doing a great job with his. And I'm sure other homes in that area will follow suit because they see how beautiful the homes can be, but.
Wasn't that Scott Burney? Isn't he one that owns that 37?
Yeah, and he was at the meeting. He was attending the
Right,
meeting.
yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, as was Jim Kane. So, there is local concern, local business concern.
Right, and hopefully some of them will give the feedback to La La Lobster, because apparently they're hearing the opposite from people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I saw so many people lined up there that one Saturday. All the tables were filled and it's packed. So
Well,
I don't think they're hurting because of the color. Might have one or two people not buying La La Lobster, but anyway.
yeah.
All right.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Sure.
Are we all done? Should I stop recording?
Stop recording.
Yeah,
All right.
okay.
Good night, all.
I think that's
Nice.
the longest meeting on record for Dan, right? This is his first
So long,
meeting.
it was a long
They're
meeting.
not all like this.